good. So good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Today is Tuesday, June 7, 2022, and we'll be calling this meeting to order at 8 a.m. sharp. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing *6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. So I want to welcome everyone again to the Board of Commissioners Community Update Call, which we do every Tuesday morning. So let's do Board of Commissioners roll call. Commissioner Scar.
Good morning.
Good morning. I did hear from Commissioner Bell this morning. She may be a little late. She has another appointment first thing this morning, so we're hoping she'll be here before the end of the meeting. So let's move on directly into Adventist Health Tillamook. Do we have Eric Swanson with us?
We do. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
So we have 14 patients in the hospital today. Less than 3 COVID patients are admitted today. We have 7 surgery cases. All are elective or non-urgent. Yesterday, our ambulance did 7 911 transports, no transfers or transports home. Number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 across Oregon is 320, which is 7 less than yesterday. There are 38 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds, 5 more than yesterday, 5 of them on ventilators. Yesterday, Oregon saw 4,249 emergency department visits, with 4.4% of them for COVID-like illnesses. There are 31 available adult ICU beds out of 332 total. That's 9% availability for the region, and 87 available adult non-ICU beds out of 1,945, which is 4% availability. Dr. Peter Graven gave his June 3rd COVID forecast, and he shared with us that case levels remain high but show signs of cresting. 12 children were in Oregon hospitals, which is a modest increase. The model shows a longer plateau before the decline, and previous peaks were much sharper, he said. And the Northeast states have already begun seeing hospitalizations fall. So that's good news for us if we're watching that trend. So unless you have questions, I'll go back on mute.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that very much. Do we have questions for Eric Swanson? Eric, thank you for being here, although I think you know that I'm always one with questions, and I hope you don't mind.
No, please.
Just looking at the numbers, I mean, I see COVID numbers rising. I think emergency room visits are down compared to previous rises in COVID cases. Are you seeing issues where we may have to do what we did in 2020 coming up, or is this more of an endemic versus a pandemic?
I'm going to go with the endemic answer, and we're just not seeing high number of hospitalizations. If we look today, we have about 5% of the ICU beds are filled across Oregon with COVID patients, which is unlike last summer when we hit our peak. So we're just seeing it be much more endemic, I think, and I'm thankful that we're just not seeing hospitalizations like we were.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So I thank you very much for that, David.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Eric? Thank you so much, Eric, for being here.
You're welcome.
Let's go to the Coastal Caucus, and I see 3 of our Coastal Caucus members. I do see Senator Rachel Armitage. I do see Representative David Gomberg. I do see Representative Susanna Weber. I do not know if we have Senator Anderson with us this morning. But with that, let me just turn it over to the Coastal Caucus and whoever would like to start.
Good morning. This is Senator Armitage.
Good morning.
Hi. Okay, so last week was legislative days in the Oregon Capitol, and I attended Veterans and Emergency Preparedness as well as Finance and Revenue. I sit on both those committees. I also chaired the Joint Information Management and Technology Committee, We learned about different IT projects that are underway for 4 of our different state agencies and got updates on their progress. Those agencies were the Oregon Unemployment Department, Oregon Youth Authority, State Police, and Department of Corrections. We also heard from the Oregon Geographic Information Council, which was really interesting for me. We learned about how mapping is incorporated into every aspect of our government. There was great insight as to how the processes of making sure we have good data, how we can make sure we have good data so that we can make good decisions at every level. I want to point out how important it is to be able to visualize information happening. It's so important to know what's happening, and I think that is a very straightforward idea, but understanding what is happening where also helps us make really important decisions. And I have to, I was very excited about that presentation. I also want to mention one of the things that came up in that presentation is that oftentimes larger governments and more urban governments have access to a lot of mapping technology. So they have professionals on staff whose job it is to collect data, clean their data, work on mapping. And that's not always something that rural areas have, which means that there can be a real information discrepancy between what our city centers have and what our rural areas have. So that was something I noticed. I think we really have to work on that. But overall, a really great presentation. I also welcomed 3 new interns this week who will be with me over the summer. Zonia, Priya, and Walker. They'll be helping me with all kinds of things around the office. I'm very excited to have them on the team. There is also a new habitat conservation plan being developed that addresses timber management statewide, another aspect of it. I say that to say, if you have thoughts on that, I would love to hear from you. I've been hearing from folks in different parts of the district, and if you have concerns about that, please get in touch with my office. I'd love to talk to you. If you have thoughts of any kinds, not just concerns, I would really love to talk to you, to be quite honest. Don't forget that you can email me for all kinds of things. If you need help navigating the state government in some way, please email me. My email is sen.rachelarmitage@oregonlegislature.gov. Again, that is sen.rachelarmitage@oregonlegislature.gov. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I do appreciate that very much. Just so you know, and I'm thinking the HCP, the Habitat Conservation Plan, I take it you're talking about the Oregon Department of Forestry HCP. I am chair of the Council of Forest Trust Land Counties in Oregon, and we have been pushing back against this HCP for quite some time. So if you don't mind, in the very near future, I would love to have a conversation with you about the Habitat Conservation Plan.
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that very much. Okay, who from the Coastal Caucus would like to go next?
It's Suzanne. Good morning.
Good morning.
This will be, 3 days in a row I've gotten to talk to you, David.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Isn't that great?
Yes, it is. A lot of what I have been doing recently revolves around education. And last week I forgot to congratulate the FFA group. They had their banquet on Memorial Day, and it was wonderful. I was so impressed with their officers and their members and all that they did. FFA is a real credit to our community, and I just can't tell you enough about how impressed I was with their ability to memorize and to use their skills as officers. Then I got to go and tour the Nesco-In Valley School, and they have a plan to add the ability to have additional preschool students. And he's saying that the building and all that they have to offer in that area, what a gift is to the Oregon coast, and what a gift it is to the children who are able to attend there, because the Nescoin Valley school grounds are just like a paradise. Then I got to go to all of the committee meetings last week, housing, early childhood, healthcare, and education. And there I was once again having a real intense learning session on education. And I will continue that into this week because we have our educators workforce group. And this week we are having meetings again on recruitment, retention, working conditions, and compensation for the workforce in our schools. There are so many ideas out there in the United States that are being used, and we are using that research to see what it is that could best benefit our education system here in Oregon. And then there was graduation last weekend. Friday, there was a parade through town of all of the graduates, and I stood on the corner and waved at them all, and I have to applaud their creativity at decorating their rigs, and the best one was the little bus that came through with the whole family in it. I really enjoyed seeing that. Then we had another tour, and I know that Commissioner Yamamoto is going to tell you all about that. It was very impressive, the number of county commissioners from the state that attended that tour, and I know all the places they went, and I know that they had a wonderful learning experience. Then last night, I was at the Seaside City Council's Committee on Housing with T.J. Forelli, our Tillamook County housing expert. And TJ did a presentation on everything that Tillamook County Housing Commission has done, and it was an excellent presentation, and the city of Seaside was really, they were overwhelmed with what Tillamook County has done, and they are looking to Tillamook County as that North Star for leading them forward, because they have a lot of similar housing issues as we do. Then this week there's also the Clatsop Plains Elk Project, Phase 2, getting off the ground. The last times I've been up through North County, I haven't seen the herds of elk, but I know they're lurking there in the forest, just watching all the cars go by. I think that is is everything that I have to report this morning. It's been a busy week. It's been wonderful being out there and meeting new people and new challenges. I have several constituent issues that I'm working on at the present time, and it is an honor to be able to help people through these problems. And the sun is shining. What could be better? Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Weber. And yes, we did have another Tillamook Working Lands and Waters tour yesterday. And it was the same tour that we provided to the House Energy and Natural Resource Committee. That was a couple months ago, I guess now. But again, this was for commissioners and was really well adopted, and we got great comments on it. Both of the other commissioners, Commissioner Bell and Commissioner Scar, were both on the tour. Since this was kind of a county college class tour, and we missed the last two county college classes, the county college class of 2019 and the county college class of 2021. So we're playing a little bit of catch up here, and that was because of COVID more than anything. But we appreciate very much your attendance, Representative Weber. Thank you. Representative Gomberg.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, and good morning to all of our guests and listeners. It's at long last a beautiful June morning. And you mentioned the Working Lands Tour. I might give a quick plug that I'll be on the Working Lands and Water Tour in Lincoln County on the 10th. So that is coming up. I also wanted to say, although we talked about it last week, what a joy it was to be down in Nemacolin cutting the ribbon at long last on the emergency egress, the second way in and out of that wonderful little community. So many people worked so long and so hard to make that happen, and we were successful in getting a few extra state dollars to close the nearly $3 million gap in completing that pathway. It's for emergency vehicles. It's for dealing with access to the community during emergencies. But in between emergencies, I think there's going to be wonderful use of that pathway for bicycles and dog walkers and strollers and people that want to get out near the wetlands or over some of the fish passages. It's just a wonderful addition to southern Tillamook County. Pleased to see so many of you there, Commissioners. I will mention, we've all talked about different views of legislative days. I was still serving on the Wildfire Recovery Committee and made a bit of a stink last week because during the last legislative session, we made some adjustments in funding allocations so that we could spread money around a little bit further for repairing sewer and water systems in some of our local fire zones. And I'm very frustrated to learn that the definitions in the statute are not entirely clear, and there's some difference of opinion between the county and the state agencies. So they're engaged in this tug of war over how to use those dollars. And as a consequence, people who lost their homes, lost their water systems, lost their sewer service, here we are a year and a half, nearly 2 years later, and they're still waiting for help. I'm siding with the counties in this tug of war, trying to get these dollars freed up and get them moving, rather than wait till next January for a legislative fix to this technical glitch in the wording of the statute. Commissioners, we have talked before about wind energy and the plans for the federal government to base wind energy zones off the southern Oregon coast. It's not an issue just for southern Oregon because those are fishing grounds that are used by the Central Oregon and even Northern Oregon fishing fleets. And the Coastal Caucus has organized 6 listening sessions up and down the coast where people came forward to express their opinions about these federal plans, not state plans, but federal plans. The federal agency is now holding their own listening session in Newport on the 15th. And the Coastal Caucus has submitted letters already to the federal agencies asking them to slow down, asking them to preserve fishing grounds, and asking them to take a look at some of the unintended consequences of these huge energy devices, whether it's impacts on the fishing fleets or on the water ecology like the California current and upwelling, whether it's impacts on our natural resources like birds, or whether it'll affect whale and fish migration patterns, or even if it has the potential to screw up the navigation of our Coast Guard, our fishing fleets, and our recreational vehicles out there, recreational fishing or recreational water vehicles. A lot going on with that. I sat down personally to talk to Senator Wyden about the issue. We're going to be having public meetings going forward, and I'm hoping that we can get some movement toward a win-win situation with wind energy so that we can have fishing, we can have ecology, and we can have renewable energy as well. Later today, I'm going to be joining the Pacific City Chamber of Commerce. And every time I get together with Chambers of Commerce, and I do it a lot up and down my large district, there's always questions about the worker shortage and how we can meet our potential when we don't have enough people to do the jobs that are there. I mean, in simple terms, we've got restaurants that can't fill all of their shifts. They're cutting back on table service. They're eliminating maybe 1 or even 2 meals a day. And that means that they're not meeting their economic potential because they can't find enough people to do the work that they've got. Statewide, there are now more jobs available than there are people on unemployment or looking for work. That's a unique statistic, and it's particularly high out here at the coast and in the hospitality industry. I wanted to share with you, Commissioners, 3 things that I'm seeing in this regard. The first is very interesting, a new report I just read, that Oregon is now at a 5-year low on immigrant labor. fewer people coming here to work, more people leaving. Maybe they went home during the pandemic and didn't come back. In any event, we are at a 5-year low with immigrant labor, and that's affecting our workforce. The second thing that's going on is that about 20 to 25% of our workforce are over the age of 55. 20% statewide, about 25% out here at the coast where we have a slightly older population group. And you know what? People in those age groups are starting to retire. And maybe, the pandemic has given them some experience where they're saying getting up and going to work every day ain't what it used to be, and staying home ain't so bad. And so more people are retiring sooner. They're retiring and taking with them a lifetime of experience, which is a benefit to their employers, but they're also leaving vacancies behind. So that's something that's going on. And then the third major contributor to this dilemma is the cost and availability of childcare. And we're seeing that you can't find childcare, and if you do find it, you can't afford it. In fact, I got a new study that I referenced in my newsletter yesterday. The cost of providing childcare to a newborn is actually higher than the cost of sending that child to college. Boy, sit and think about that for a minute. So what's going on is that families are making economic decisions that one spouse can stay home and take care of the kids, and rather than hiring somebody else to take care of them, which would take up virtually all of their income if they're working at an entry-level job. So they can stay home and take care of their own kids, and that means that they're not available for the workforce. As a result of the worker shortage, we're seeing wages go up. That's good for workers and worker families, but it's harder for employers who are having to pay those costs, and it's harder for all the rest of us consumers because those costs are getting passed along to us. And at the end of the day, as prices rise, a lot of the wage gains are being chewed up in inflation. And so we're finding ourselves right back to where we started. The final thing that I'll add in the quest for more workers is always going to include the shortage of affordable housing for people, and so that people who want to work here can't find a place to live here. It's a difficult and complex problem, and I don't see any easy solutions on the horizon, but you can start by better understanding the problem, and that's just a quick outline of some of the contributing factors. So that's my report for today, Commissioners. We'll pause at this point and see if you've got questions for any of us.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate that so much. I appreciate especially your thoughtful work on offshore wind. Again, at this point, it's not affecting anyone north of Lincoln County or even Lincoln County, but looking into the future, we have to be cognizant of what the federal government is trying to do in your efforts to ask the federal government to slow this down. That has been something that we had an OCCMA meeting last week, Oregon Coast Zone Management Association, and that was our main topic of discussion, of course, as always. And BOEM, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, is really pushing this to happen rapidly at this point, and I appreciate very much. We also don't feel that we have all the answers to all the questions that we have asked BOEM. So again, I appreciate very much your thoughts on offshore wind. Any other questions for any of our Coastal Caucus members? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you being here very much. Let's move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Do we have Marlene Putman and or Ed Colson with us?
Good morning. This is Marlene Putman. Happy to join you this morning.
Good morning, Marlene.
I'll start just with some general announcements from the health center. Many people already know, but June is Pride Month. Pride Month raises awareness of the issues facing our lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people and other members of the LGBTQ+ community. We want to wish Tillamook County a happy Pride Month. No matter who you are or who you love, you're seen, you're celebrated, and you matter. Also want to congratulate our seniors. Take a moment just to remember all the difficulties these students have gone through and to congratulate them on their accomplishments as they graduate this year. Great job. And as we head into a little bit warmer weather, reminding people about our approaching celebrations and this graduation season. So just a few food safety tips to keep in mind and some information. The CDC estimates that each year, roughly 1 in 6 Americans get sick from foodborne diseases. So we don't want that to be the situation as we go into celebrations and summer gatherings. So to help reduce foodborne bacteria from growing, cook meats to a proper internal temperature. Look at those instructions on packages or read them in your online recipes. Keep cool foods cool and place any leftovers in the fridge or freezer within 2 hours of cooking. If you're looking for more tips on that, you can always look at the CDC or the Oregon Health Authority. And we also have some information on our Facebook page. So keep those things in mind. Now for our COVID-19 county data and this update. So our weekend case count is between June 3rd and June 5th was 21 positive cases, 7-day 47, 14-day 100, and the cases for May stand at 232. And heading into the beginning here of June for the first week, we have 26. Total cases to date is around 4,000 right now. So we've got a solid 4,000 number in here, and we still stay at, let's keep that number low, at 65 COVID-19 related deaths and about 149 COVID-19 related hospitalizations. Our test positivity rate right now is kind of high at 38%, and that was for May 29th through June 4th. We don't have any active outbreaks at this time. Our vaccine data, we keep this and monitor this to let people know where we stand on the percent of people vaccinated. 81.2% of our community have initiated the COVID-19 vaccination and have received at least one dose. 75% have completed the series, the primary dose and the second dose. 45% have received an extra dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in addition to their primary series. So sharing that information as people wonder, is the vaccine still out there? Many people are very aware that it is, but we just want people to know this is still the best way to protect yourself, especially in those high-risk categories. We have had some case increases, and we're looking at continued preventative measures. According to OHSU, the COVID forecast, we're starting to see a crest in most regions in the state. So we've been experiencing an increase most recently, but now we hope to hit that crest and start to see things level off again. In the meantime, many people continue to wear masks, and not just for their protection, but for the protection of others. And our public health officer, Dr. Melissa Paulson, also strongly encourages people to wear masks indoors. It's important to wear a mask when transmission is high and when around those who are or may be more vulnerable. So just a reminder there. And also to remember that this COVID-19 variant has gotten progressively more contagious. The latest Omicron strain is about 4 to 6 times more contagious than the original strain. So, and it's often spread by people who do not have symptoms. If you are wondering where you can get support and wanting to talk to someone, Oregon Health Authority continues to staff their COVID-19 case support line, which is available. We have that information on our site, and OHA staffs that line. You can also reach us, as always, if you would like to talk to a public health nurse at our 842-3900 number. And you can still receive testing, vaccines, and treatment and counseling by appointment at the health center and at other healthcare providers throughout the county. Now on to our vaccination and booster, what's happening with those. The Oregon Health Authority now recommends a booster dose of Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 through 11 at least 5 months after the previous dose. Immunocompromised children can receive the booster at least 3 months after the previous dose, so a little sooner for those that are immunocompromised. The CDC also strengthened the recommendation from may receive to should receive for a second booster dose 4 months from the first dose for adults over 50 years of age and people 12 years of age who are immunocompromised. I think I mentioned that, yes, you can get vaccines throughout the county, and I'm sure Reinhardt will speak to that. Nehalem Valley Community Health Center will also talk to that in their talking points today, but vaccines are still available, and we're still encouraging people to receive those. If you have questions, want to receive a vaccine, you can call our clinic, as I mentioned, at 842-3900. And if you're wondering about testing, how do I get testing? How can I get my results and get those confirmed? Or you're traveling, those kinds of things, you can still get test kits, and there's an increased distribution amount for free at-home rapid antigen tests through the federal government. It's very easy. Just Google it, and you can order 2 free tests, and you can place kits, and you can place a third order for 8 more. In total, each household can receive 16 free at-home tests. And, it actually is in here. I was looking at my notes to say you can be ordered at www.covidtest.gov. And that gets just delivered right to your home through the U.S. Postal Service. There's also still test kits available at county libraries and our clinical locations throughout the county. If you would like to get tested, we still are also doing testing through our community health centers here in Tillamook, and you can give us a call about that. Finally, we just encourage people to consider those precautions as we're waiting for things to crest. So if you feel comfortable wearing a mask and have those around you who are vulnerable, please do so. And that is the end of my update for this morning, but happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Marlene. That was a great report, as always. Do we have any questions for Marlene Putman? Marlene, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson. Gail, are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Marlene, for your update. And yes, that is correct. We at the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy are still administering vaccines and tests. We do have still free COVID tests and N95 masks available. Please give us a call if you have any questions or concerns, or you would like to make an appointment with one of our providers. We can be reached at 800-368-5182. And just 2 more brief announcements. Again, our patient transportation service is up and running. We are asking patients if they have transportation barriers to please give us a call if you need assistance getting to and from your medical appointments. And finally, on June 30th, our health center and pharmacy will open at 1:30 that day due to an all-staff planning meeting. And I will continue to make that update until we get closer to that date. And we'll also be posting on Facebook and in the community to help increase awareness of that particular date. So thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to give an update.
Thank you so much for being here, Gail. Any questions for Gail Nelson? Let's move on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Cannon-Williams. Frank, are you with us?
Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning all. Frank Cannon-Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center. I want to join my colleague Marlene Putman in acknowledging this month as Pride Month. And I think the words that Marlene used are very appropriate, and focusing on the LGBTQIA community, that you are seen, you matter, and you are important. Behavioral health services for Tillamook County residents, and you can find out more about information related to appointments and agency information by calling 503-842-8201 or 1-800-962-2851. If it is information regarding services, information regarding our QPR series, which focuses on skills and information that persons can learn regarding support for those who may be in your life, who may expressing feelings about regarding self-harm, information about the QPR series, parenting services and supports, you can reach us at the numbers I gave, 1-800-962-2851 and 503-842-8201. I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Frank, for being with us this morning. Any questions for Frank Hanna-Williams? Thank you again, Frank. So let's go to the Sheriff's Office. Do we have Sheriff Brown with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. I am here.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have no major updates today. I would like to say that the transition to our new website has been complete. We've been working the last handful of days to fix any minor errors or inconsistencies, and things are looking pretty good. Hopefully it's a easier website to navigate. It does look a little bit cleaner. If you visit our website, you will notice that the main picture on the very first screen is of a gray Explorer with Sheriff's Office branding on it. That is the new direction that we are going with our branding and vehicle scheme. The Explorers are going to be replacing the F-150s for patrol and patrol only. They are a better functioning patrol vehicle, and they also save a little bit of money. So by the time you buy the vehicle and upfit it with all of the police gear inside of it, it does save a few $1,000s, and so it's a little bit better economically, and like I said, it functions far better than an F-150 in patrol situations. So like I said, that'll be the vehicles that you will be seeing in the future as we buy new ones in the direction we'll be going. Please feel free to go into our new website and kind of play around and look around a little bit, and like I said, it should be easier to navigate and have a cleaner look to it. So that's all I have, and I can take some questions if there is any.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it very much. Any questions for Sheriff Brown? Thank you for being here. Let's move on to emergency management. Do we have Randy Thorpe with us? Randy.
You bet. I'm here and enjoying the sunshine today. So to start off with, I'm starting to work with the Oregon Department of Human Services. They have a grundle of portable air filtration units that they have available through a grant program. And what I'm looking at here is identifying our evacuation centers and seeing if a portable air filtration unit would be beneficial to them to have on hand. They're a HEPA and charcoal filtering unit, and they move right around 2,000 cubic feet per minute. So they're a fairly good air filtration unit. So we'll hopefully be placing a whole bunch of those throughout the county at our evacuation centers here in the next month. Along the grant line, the SPIRE grants for equipment are due today, and we had a great response throughout the whole county in submitting applications. So hopefully Tillamook County's applications will migrate to the top of the pile, and we'll see some great equipment coming into the county to help with our disasters and other emergencies that could happen here. We're also continuing the process of updating the county's natural hazard mitigation plan, and this process is being led by Sarah over at the Community Development, and also in conjunction with the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development. Doing some great work, and I think that that plan will be able to be finalized this fall, and I think that we've really uncovered and looked at some definite issues that the county will have and ways to help mitigate that. And tomorrow, the state is running what they're calling a medical response and surge exercise, coupled with National Disaster Medical Systems functioning exercise, excuse me. This is going basically statewide, and what they're doing is that they're testing and going to be evaluating the different agencies and companies in their response to medical surges during this disaster. I know here locally, Adventist Health is playing a big role in being a player in that, and of course the county health is involved with that. But it's it'll be really interesting to see. Their main purpose is to, of course, identify those gaps and shortcomings that we have in medical response and also in communications. And they're doing it statewide, so it's an awful large exercise that'll be going on tomorrow. And I'm glad I'm just a little evaluator sitting on the outside looking in. And I think it'll be a really great exercise for the county to participate in. So anyway, that's all I have. And if Gordon's on, we'll turn it over to him. He can explain why the sun is shining today.
Well, thank you, Randy.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, an unusual event anymore. This strange winter-like pattern that has plagued us the last couple of months continues to bring us rain into the Pacific Northwest. And today, fortunately, we have a ridge of high pressure moving in that's going to bring us fair and mild. Your high today is going to be around 70. But you're already seeing some higher clouds move in, and that's ahead of a next system in another series of storms. It looks like this next front will swing into the northwest into Canada, but we'll still catch a few showers on the tail end of it as it moves inland tonight, and you might see some early morning drizzle tomorrow. After that, we'll dry out some again, but starting tomorrow afternoon, lo and behold, Thursday, we start seeing another potentially strong atmospheric river event developing into the Pacific. This means that you'll see an increasing chance of rain starting Thursday afternoon, with rain likely Thursday night, with it turning more showery on Friday. But then another disturbance in the flow brings another round of rain Saturday before we transition back to showers Sunday that become more widely scattered again by Sunday night. Now, as frequently the case with these scenarios, the models vary on how strong the ridge is, which will determine how far north the actual area of greatest rainfall is. The latest models have the hose, as I call it, pointed towards Washington, but they've not been real consistent over the last few runs, so there's not a great deal of confidence right now that that's exactly where it'll be. As you know, it does change, and 70 miles on the weather map is not too big for Mother Nature, but it makes a big difference for those that are under it. I would say probably that Tillamook County is looking at another 1 to 3 inches of rainfall Friday into Saturday. And some of the folks out there may have heard that there are some flooding concerns, but the Tillamook County rivers are not any of the rivers that are being discussed. It's actually the rivers that are east that are protected by reservoir flood control. Many of those rivers are already full from all the snow runoff and the recent rains, so those would be the ones impacted. And again, our rivers may see a slight increase in flows, good for the fishermen, but no river flooding is expected in Tillamook County, I'm happy to say. And with that slightly wet forecast, I'll just go back on mute.
Thank you for that, Gordon. So today is the first Tuesday of the month, and as promised, we have with us Bill Jablonski from the Oregon Department of Transportation. Good morning, Bill. Thank you for being here.
Well, good morning, Commissioner Yamamoto, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come and speak with the folks at Tillamook County. So I have a little bit of update on the maintenance side. As you know, the nice weather has broke, and so it allows our ODOT maintenance crews to get out on the state highways and perform some overdue maintenance that we have not been able to get to because of the wet weather that Gordon alluded to in his report. Just to let folks know that pothole patching, of course, is ongoing all throughout the county itself. And we're going to be doing a paving project, new asphalt and bridge deck treatments on Oregon 53 from Wheeler to the county line starting at the end of June. So you might want to stay ahead of that. You'll see some advanced warning signage and such starting the end of June, letting folks know that we'll be doing some paving there on Oregon 53. Earlier this spring, we did have a landslide between Rockaway and Wheeler. That treatment for that bluff area has been completed, so that is all now open traffic, and we appreciate everyone's patience while we had to make some minor closures of the highway for us to be able to hang that netting and do that work up there. We appreciate your patience on that. Also, south of Wheeler, we have some sloughing of the shoulder. You'll notice that some crews are out there doing a a repair to that shoulder area, propping it up. It's kind of a problem area for us, given our geology we have here in Oregon. So we're making repairs for that along 101, just south of Wheeler. The purpose of my visits, of course, was really about updating the county on Oregon 6. I just wanted to throw in some other updates as well too that I just gave you about other goings-ons with Tillamook County as well. But the updates on Oregon 6, I can let everyone know that we are going to do an experimental striping treatment with our friends at 3M, who developed a more durable stripe that actually stays with the reflectivity stays a lot longer, even given the number of snowplow passes that will go over it. So we're going to be applying that treatment throughout all the corridor of Oregon 6 here starting in July. And that's going to be an experimental one for us with that more durable striping to hopefully get better life out of the striping and for improving safety improvements on that corridor. House Bill 4053, of which Representative Weber was successful at getting us the go-ahead for that for ODOT to conduct the safety study of Oregon 6. We have anticipated kickoff here in August. We're finishing the final negotiations with the consultant. Because of the dollar amount, we have to go to the Department of Justice for their review and blessing as well too. A little bit of administrative things that have to happen behind the scenes before we can actually get started with the project. So looking forward to that kickoff for that project to start with identifying stakeholders and where we go from there as far as the process for the study. I also want to remind folks that ODOT is not waiting until the completion of the study to do work. We do have commitments in the current statewide transportation improvement program that we are meeting as well, with the continuation of development of our barrier improvement projects throughout the corridor of Oregon 6, bridge repairs that you've seen earlier on in this late spring, early summer, rumble strip project that we're designing as well too. And what else? Oh, and the ongoing geologic investigation at the slide between mile point 33 and 37. A little bit more facts about that one. We do have, in Oregon, of course, we're blessed with the geology that we have, or cursed as the matter may be, but there is a fault that runs north-south that impacts both highways 6 and 26. And this particular fault, called the Gales Creek Fault, tends to be very unsettling and lots of settling type of activity going on with the moisture that we have in the area. So that's one thing that we have identified and we're going to be addressing as part of the study of Oregon 6 when the study comes available. We have some preliminary costs and some concepts that we'll be sharing and including that report as well too, so for further competition and consideration for funding for future projects. That's all I have for an update today. I'll certainly pause for some questions.
Bill, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. Do we have any questions for Bill Jablonski? Bill, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Commissioner. Bye-bye.
Let's move on to the commissioners. Commissioner Scar, can you start?
I'd be happy to start. Thank you. So, as always, busy times in the commissioner's office. I had an opportunity last Thursday to present to a group of federal agencies. It was the Northwest Interagency Partnership for Sustainable Communities meeting. And this is a meeting that brings together roughly 20 to 25 representatives of federal agencies, and they are tied to lots and lots of different potential funding sources. And I had been asked to present along with about 6 other communities about the recreational housing market and how it's impacting our communities. What's happening for us? What are our challenges in building what I talk about as the other side of the market? So we know that our economy is doing a good job of building beachfront homes, but we're not doing such a good job of building workforce housing. No surprise to anyone. But this was an opportunity to talk to those federal agencies specifically about our challenges related to housing and to give them the opportunity to just kind of think through the funding sources they have, as well as any other supports they may be able to offer. So it was an interesting and fruitful conversation. I got to hear from other communities that are much like ours and how they were addressing their challenges, some ideas we may be able to steal from them. But I also was reached out to specifically by USDA Rural, who has some ideas for us. So I will be setting a meeting and seeing what we can come up with funding-wise from the federal government. So there are lots of opportunities for us as commissioners to represent the county, not only locally here, but in our relationships with state and federal agencies, and this was one of those. So I look forward to seeing, hopefully, where we might be able to utilize some of those federal funds to address our housing issue. Second topic for me, I had the opportunity to attend the ODFW public meeting last week talking about the Coastal Multi-Species Plan, and that is the plan that is addressing our fishing opportunities in Tillamook County. That plan was created in 2014 as a habitat conservation type plan, which is to make sure that our wild fish runs are being as healthy as they can be and recovering in the best possible ways. What has happened in this particular season as we are getting ready going forward and they are deciding what fish harvests are available, our fall Chinook populations, the wild fall Chinook populations, have been declining over the last 4 years, and that has put us into a position where fishing-wise there will be no take of fall Chinook in our local rivers this year. So there is a public meeting actually online for them to share the information. You can make public comments, and the easiest thing I can tell you is that meeting is going to be a webinar. It is tonight at 6 p.m. And if you are interested in that, I encourage you to go to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife website and search the Fall Coastal Salmon Outlook. You can also reach out to me by email and I will send you the link to that if that's something that you're interested in. But it is important for all of us to be following what's happening with our fish populations, because it not only affects our fish, which we absolutely want to have healthy, it affects our economy. The fall Chinook season in Tillamook County is a very large economic boost. We have lots of fishermen who come, they stay in our hotels, they eat in our restaurants. So this is a significant issue for us, and it's one that we all want to have our eye on and be talking with Department of Fish and Wildlife about what happens if we don't see a rebound in the next year, which is what they're hoping for. So just if you're interested, there is a webinar, as I said, tonight, 6 p.m., Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, talking about our fall coastal salmon outlook. Let's see, my third thing, I just wanted to kind of get in and let people know about meetings that are coming up, because I think that's an important part of what we can do on this call. We have our supplemental budget meeting coming up this afternoon. Give me a second while I find the link to that. The supplemental budget hearing will be held this afternoon at 3 p.m. It is an online meeting. If you are interested, you can go to the Tillamook County website, go to the Treasurer's page, and you can find an opportunity for providing public comment. You can also find the call-in information for that meeting. This is something we do every year toward the end of the year, and it's sort of it's an opportunity to true up our budget to changes that happened during the year, because changing the county budget is not an easy thing. It requires the budget committee to come back together. It requires public notifications. It's not simple for us to do that. At the end of the year, however, it's very important that we have trued up our budget to our actual expenses and revenues during the year. So one of the big topics on this, as an example, is that we receive funding from the Oregon Health Authority that we pass through to Tillamook Family Counseling as the designated local community mental health provider. And during the course of this year, if you've been following the state budget, they have allocated a significant amount of additional money for mental health services and staffing across the state, and Tillamook County has received some of that funding. And we need to true up the contract for Tillamook Family Counseling and true it up in our budget. So if you're interested in just kind of getting a sense of what changes have happened during the year and how we are adjusting our budget to those, that meeting, as I said, is 3 p.m. today. You can find information on the Treasurer's website. We also have a meeting coming up this morning for our short-term rental advisory committee. That begins at 9:30. There's an in-person meeting at the library. You can also call into that meeting if you're interested, and the link to that can be found on the Community Development webpage. under the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee tab. So again, our website, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great place to become familiar on the issues that you're interested in. There's a lot of great information. But the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee will meet today from 9:30 to noon, 9:30 to 11:30. The topic today really is enforcement. We're looking at the Ordinance 84, which is the management side really of our short-term rental program. And we're going to talk about enforcement because a lot of folks, understandably so, would like to put a lot of things in our ordinance to control different factors in our communities. And in order to do that, we have to really look at the enforceability of what we're placing in our ordinance. So that meeting is today, and we always invite the public to attend, and at the end of those meetings there's an opportunity for public comment. So we invite you to join us in that meeting today. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Chair Yamamoto. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scar. Has Commissioner Bell been able to join us at this point?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Well, I apologize for being late, and I realize you probably talked about this in the Coastal Caucus section, but I just wanted to say that the Working Lands and Waters tour that we had the last couple days with our commissioners from all over the state was just fabulous. And I want to thank Commissioner Yamamoto for his leadership in that group, and thank all of the community partners who participate in it from all of those industries. And it was just a wonderful showcase of natural resources in our community. And I know that folks from outside the area were impressed, and they learned a lot. I talked to several of them about that, and I was impressed, and I learned a lot. When Gordon was talking a few minutes ago about the weather, it reminded me of the dairy that we visited on the tour yesterday, the Kuipers Dairy, where we learned that how the rain has negatively impacted local farmers because they haven't been able to plant corn yet. And they're worried that by the time the ground dries enough for them to be able to plant corn, the growing season will be too short. And how the economy and gas prices are decimating their business. And it was very informative. That's one small example of many things that we learned about forestry, farming, and fishing and restoration. And so it was just dynamite. It was just terrific, and a lot of local people participated in that, and I'm grateful to everybody who did. And I wanted to mention a couple fun things, interesting things that are happening this week. Later this morning, we're having our first emergency management advisory committee meeting. And so that is a committee that was active about 10 years ago, and then went dormant, and we're bringing it back because we have a new emergency manager, and Eric Swanson, the president of Adventist Health, who has a long honorable history in emergency management, is going to chair the committee for us, and we've invited a bunch of people, and the idea of it is to really get Randy Thorpe involved with all of the leaders in the community who use and are invested in emergency management, so that we can start off with strong relationships between emergency management from our office and all of the other partners in the community, and hear from them, like things that they want to need from us, and things they're looking forward to, and trainings that they want, and volunteer opportunities they want to develop, etc. And we're looking to that committee to help us do some strategic planning for emergency management, and looking ahead, like we're building something that's not entirely new, because there are things that are consistent in emergency management, but we have the opportunity to do new things. And so we want to work with our community partners on that. And so I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm grateful to Eric Swanson for leading it, and to all the folks who will show up for that meeting today. And also this week we are interviewing library director candidates, and so that's we've got 3 people coming in, 3 very strong candidates coming in, and that's a 2-day affair. On the first day, they're going to tour all of the branches, and that's a lot. That's a big chunk of time right there because we have branches from Pacific City to Manzanita, and they're going to meet the library staff and the library friends groups and the board, and then on Friday we'll have traditional final interviews, and they'll interview with the library board and with all the commissioners, and so that's a big project coming up for a very important job, and we're looking forward to a positive outcome, which we will hope to report in the near future. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. Appreciate that very much. So things, as always, are busy here in the Commissioner's office. Last Tuesday, I attended a Pacific City Woods Parking Advisory Committee meeting as we're going through all of our plans, and we had a huge public outreach meeting in Pacific City. This was a month and a half or so ago. We got input from, oh my gosh, there were over 200 people at that meeting giving us input, their thoughts on different projects that we have proposed. And out of that, with this last meeting, the PC Woods Parking Advisory Committee, I think we've got a couple immediate paths forward. One of them, of course, is going to be a redo of the of the Cape Kiwanda parking lot. I think it's time that needs to get done. The bathroom there needs to be worked on, probably replaced. The parking itself within the parking lot needs to be adjusted. So that's going to be one of the first things that we're going to do. A second, which really kind of caught us by surprise, but everyone was really on board with this, is the intersection at the end of the Beachy Bridge. And so we have purchased the Jensen property, which ends there at that intersection. Most people don't know this, but we have a huge paved parking lot underneath the big sand dune there at the end of the Beachy Bridge. It is hoped that we can get a permit to maybe lower that dune height a little bit and clear some more of that sand to expose more of the parking lot that the county has there already underneath all that sand. One of the things that I brought up at that meeting was that if we're going to do that, if we're going to allow additional parking there, our plan is, of course, to put in a restroom on the Jensen property near that intersection. We're not ready to go there yet. We still have a lot of design work to do on the Jensen property, but it was brought up to us by OPRD that a vault toilet would be a simple fix there. Put in a vault toilet near where we are planning the original restroom for the short term. And a great thing about those vault toilets is that when we're ready to put in the real plumbed restroom there, we can pick up that vault toilet and move it to any other area. So I think we've got some good planning done, and we're going to actually start work in Pacific City on the Cape Kiwanda Master Plan, which I think is a terrific idea. So hang on, we're going to be doing a lot more there. Also, last Thursday, I had a Salmon Superhighway Executive Team meeting. Most people maybe are not familiar with Salmon Superhighway. I keep talking about how when it comes to clean water, habitat restoration, and fish recovery, no Oregon county does this better than Tillamook County. And there are reasons for that. It's not because of all the money that the county puts into these things. Unfortunately, we don't have the money. But working with our watershed councils and public works, Soil and Water Conservation District, and now Salmon Superhighway. And this is a pilot project by the federal government. They looked all up and down the West Coast as to where they're thinking that with federal funds, we can get even more done than what we do with OWEB funding, Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board funding, which is based on lottery dollars, things of that nature. And so that when they looked up and down the Oregon coast and the Washington coast and California coast, they chose Tillamook County for this pilot project because of all the terrific work that we already do. So this just allows us an additional funding stream of federal dollars to get watershed enhancement work done in Tillamook County. Salmon Superhighway has been working in Tillamook County now for six years or so. I am on the executive team, working very closely right now with the Nestucca-Nesco and Sand Lake Watershed Council. And again, we're just getting so much done, especially when you throw our Public Works Department in there, Tillamook County Soil and Water Conservation District. We are getting so much done. It's truly incredible. And Sarah Zwisler, who is running Salmon Superhighway in Tillamook County, was at our Tillamook Working Lands and Waters tour this weekend. And that was great to have her there to explain exactly how this new federal funding stream is working out. And it is working out great. Last Friday, I'm on the board of OCZMA, the Oregon Coast Zone Management Association. We had our quarterly meeting, and of course the big topic there, as Representative Gomberg mentioned, of course, is offshore wind. There are call areas off of Coos County and Curry County currently on the South Oregon coast. BOEM would like to just let that go and allow these companies to bid so they can start construction. Again, we feel that there are too many unanswered questions at this point. And so, again, I really appreciate Representative Gomberg talking with Merkley's office and Wyden's office about slowing this process down a little bit so we can get the information, the questions answered that we have asked. And again, since Representative Weber and Commissioner Bell talked about our Tillamook Working Lands and Waters tour yesterday, I won't go into very much of that. But one thing I do want to explore a little further, yes, our last stop was at the Kuipers Dairy. And you need to understand that natural resource-based industries, especially like dairy, they don't get to set their milk price. They do not. They take the price that the market will bear. And right now, and a lot of them are in deep trouble right now. Costs are going through the roof. Their feed costs, we were told yesterday, are double what they were a year ago. Diesel costs are just unbelievably high. And again, when you have all of those increased costs and you are not able to set your own price, you take the market price. Again, that was eye-opening yesterday at the Kuipers Dairy, and we appreciate very much the Kuipers opening up their dairy to our tour. It was a terrific tour. We had 26 commissioners from across the state as well as staff. We had Betsy Emery from Senator Merkley's office with us. Again, Sarah Zwisler with Salmon Superhighway. I'm not going to continue to go over that list of special people that were there because I know I'm going to leave somebody out. But it was a terrific tour, and we appreciate very much everyone that contributed to that tour. And the contributions really are coming from Tillamook Working Lands and Waters Cooperative. We're just a grassroots organization of timber interest and dairy interest and agricultural interest and fishing interest. It was just a terrific tour, just eye-opening for so many people. So we appreciate everyone's work there. So with that, let's go to the cities. City of Manzanita, Mike Scott. Mike, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Tomorrow is our regular city council meeting where we always have an interesting agenda. And we'll also be announcing our Citizen of the Year award tomorrow night. So thanks.
Wow, that's terrific. Thank you, Mike. How about the city of Nehalem? Anyone from the city of Nehalem? City of Wheeler. How about the city of Rockaway Beach? So I know normally we have the city of Garibaldi. Mayor Tim Hall is oftentimes with us, but I heard earlier that maybe Mayor Hall might not be with us, but there may be others from the city of Garibaldi.
And we're
Yes,
here,
sir.
waiting for, there, go Juliet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This is Juliet Hyam, City Manager of Garibaldi. Thank you, Commissioners, for making time for us. And I also have on the line our Planning Commission Chair, Nathan Findling. And I just want to talk about a couple things. We are hoping to renew our fire department levy in the November election.
Oops, did we lose you?
Hope not.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
Muted. So it funds a 1.5 staff and a part-time summer help. In the last year, our emergency response calls have increased over 70%, and it looks like the next year will bring a similar increase. So a renewed fire levy will really help us with that, and will also advance us towards forming a fire district, which will actually make the levy go away. It will no longer be necessary. So we'll be doing some outreach and holding an open house in the fall to present the levy in more detail and answer any questions. So look for publicity about that later this summer. And meanwhile, I am working with Business Oregon to obtain 2 ARPA grants. Thanks to the work of Representative Weber and her staff. One of them will bring smart meters to the city of Garibaldi. We now and detect leaks the old-fashioned way, which is manually. And so the water meters we're going to get will really revolutionize how we do business with our water billing, and will save the staff an incredible amount of time and headaches. The second grant will be to develop a wastewater master plan, something we've never had before, and it too will look for ways to increase the efficiency and performance of our wastewater system. So again, we're working with Business Oregon, really appreciate their efforts, and that of Representative Weber. So I will take any questions offline. You can reach me through our website or call me 503-457-8579. And thanks for taking my report. Perhaps
you so much.
Mr. Findling would like to make a comment.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Findling. So, Mr. Findling, you are muted.
Now I'm not muted. My apologies.
There you go.
Last night the Planning Commission started working on legislation for drafting of design review. So we're getting help with retired planning chair Wheeler, Mike Anderson. And so our staff's really looking forward to getting that kind of uniformity to work on that notorious downtown area. And many other things in motion, grants for comp plans and discussions on short-term rentals, and just a lot of proactivity that the city hasn't seen in years. So we're hoping to keep the momentum going, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for anyone from the city of Garibaldi? Thank you both for being here today. We appreciate that very much. How about the city of Bay City? Do we have Mayor McCall with us?
Yes, good morning. I'm here this week.
Good morning.
We don't have an update for Bay City, just that next week we will be having our regular monthly city council meeting. So the packet and all the materials for that should be available by Thursday of this week. And we have a very long and packed agenda, so there's something on there for everyone. I encourage you to take a look and become involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McCall. Appreciate your time. City of Tillamook, do we have Nathan George with us? Wow, we hardly ever miss Nathan George. Nathan? How about South County? Do we have Doug Olson?
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, good morning, Doug.
Okay, I had a little trouble with muting. They keep putting me on mute here about every 30 seconds. So just a couple of quick things. Our chamber meets today, and all accounts are we're almost back to normal. Clover's Day is well on the way to happening. Our fireworks now are planned and going, and I think the fire chief has been handling a lot of that, and it's ready to go on the 4th of July. And Dory Days will be a full Dory Days this year, including the parade. We've got a steam calliope and all kinds of interesting things coming through, plus the dory boats. And there will also be a fish fry, I think from noon to 5, something like that at the Kiawanda Community Center. Something we haven't done now, I think, for the last 2 years because of COVID. So we're almost back to normal. They'll also have a craft fair that's been sold out since around the 1st of the year. So things are almost back to normal, looking really, really good. For a moment, I'll put on my PUD director hat. You just had some conversation about offshore wind, and I will tell the listeners that on the north coast or central coast, where Tillamook County is located, with about 75 miles of coastline, it's doubtful anything is going to happen in the near future, meaning the next 5 to 10 or even longer years. And the reason is all the studies point to the stronger winds on the south coast, meaning Northern California up to Coos Bay and that area. And so that's why, as Commissioner pointed out and others, there's some efforts there to establish offshore wind generation for electricity. The other issue that's not talked about so much is these windmills in the ocean require a substantial amount of service, and that requires a ship to take the technicians out into the sea, and that requires a deep water port. Coos Bay is exactly what they need to do that. There's really not a deep water port for something, a ship that is maybe 250, 300 feet long and has all the proper equipment here on the central or north coast. So whatever happens with offshore wind will happen because the federal government controls beyond the Oregon Territorial Sea at 3 miles. However, something off the shores of Tillamook County is probably unlikely anytime in the distant future, even I'm going to say 15 or 20 years, but that may be a mistake to try and predict the future with the federal government too. So with that, thank you very much for your time. Chamber of Commerce meeting today at noon at the Kiawanda Community Center. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Doug. And I know Representative Gomberg said he was going to be there, and I also will be there with you. So I think I heard Nathan George. Nathan?
Yes, Commissioner, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, wonderful. I've been logging in and out of the phone system trying to get it to work.
Yeah,
Thank you for your patience.
We hear you. No problem.
Yes, thank you. I do have a few highlights and updates. Thank you very much. So the following are some key highlights from the regular council meeting last night on June 6th. The City Council watched a demonstration on a device called the RAP. It's a newer technology that allows law enforcement officers to safely contain persons that are in need to help to keep themselves safe, as well as the officers and medical staff assisting them if they're in that situation. Our very kind Mayor Burris, was the subject of the demonstration, and Sergeant Harrell and Officer Laughlin did a great job explaining this tool, how it works, and why it's important to our city. You kind of imagine it being almost like a giant couple of Velcro vests that strap over a person around their chest and around their legs, and it straps together and holds the person safely, even with a helmet to keep the person from hitting their head. The city currently has one of these on loan and plans to purchase at least 3 in the future. It's a very useful tool in dealing with such severe situations. City Council approved a liquor license renewal for indoor only at the Luz Taqueria, a Mexican food restaurant located on 1015 Pacific Avenue. City also reviewed a proposal to approve a resolution to put on the November 2022 ballot and refer to the voters a measure to raise gas taxes by 1.5 cents per gallon during winter months and by 4.5 cents per gallon during the summer months. This money would be used to fund City of Tillamook streets and roads projects and repairs, and stormwater repairs, infrastructure, etc. Due to the nature of this item, we ask the public to please contact your council representative to learn more about this proposal, as city staff cannot be involved in or take a position on this in order to avoid a conflict of interest. And this will come back at the next meeting, as it wasn't approved, just reviewed. Finally, the City Council went over the monthly City Manager Operations Report, asked several questions, provided various other updates For a full report, please view our city website on the video link at the bottom of the page, which will be posted later this week. The Public Works Department has installed the annual downtown flower baskets and has watered them throughout the summer. Please be careful when you see city employees watering the plants in a small Kubota utility vehicle. The Public Works Department has also installed signs in preparation for the seasonal farmers market that state no parking on Saturday from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on 2nd Street and Laurel Avenue, between the courthouse and the city of Tillamook City Hall. The Public Works Department is working to sweep streets and fill potholes. If you see any potholes or other areas that need addressed in the city streets or parks, please email publicworks@tillamookor.gov. That's a new email I've set up to allow anything Public Works to get to our Public Works Department. It's just publicworks@tillamookor.gov, or call the city's main number and push the prompt for the Public Works Department. The Tillamook City Police Department is putting on the training for ALICE, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, Evacuate, at the Nazarene Church in Tillamook. We thank the Nazarene Church for hosting this. This is very exciting, as there will be participants all the way from Alaska. The Tillamook Police Department is bringing the Axon Roadshow to our community. Axon is a company that have and sell the body cameras and tasers, along with drones with cameras. We use them as well for our body cameras. The TPUD is hosting active shooter training in Tillamook, July 28th and 29th. The Oregon Department of Safety Standards and Training sends up instructors and runs this 2-day class. All law enforcement are invited to attend. Vehicles have been recovered and suspects identified by some of it dealing with the TPUD officers from their work on a stolen vehicle and catalytic converter theft ring. And the Lincoln City Police have recovered the stolen vehicle. Search warrant was obtained and executed successfully. Information will be sent to the District Attorney's Office for further review and consideration of charges. The city still has some vacancies on Tillamook Urban Renewal Agency, the city's Planning Commission, and the city's Budget Committee. If you're interested in serving or know someone interested in serving, please have them call the city or visit our website at tillamookor.gov. If you're running for any elected positions at the city of Tillamook in November with the city, not with the county, with the city, you will need to register with the City of Tillamook City Recorder's Office. The registration date is running for public office opened on Wednesday, June 1st, and you may contact the Tillamook County Clerk's Office or the City of Tillamook City Recorder Office for more information. Anyone planning to run for office can get the paperwork from the county or city, but all paperwork needs to be turned into the city. And that is all I have, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Nathan, thank you so much. I'm glad you were able to get off of mute. I want to thank KTIL for broadcasting. Great public service you provide there and provide that service to the county. And also want to thank everyone for attending. So, time being 9:22 a.m., we will adjourn this community update. Thank you, everyone.